Well, first and foremost, thank you to Brand Innovators for hosting this amazing session, packed with amazing content on a Friday. And I want to just welcome Bruno Cardinali, the CMO of Popeyes, to this virtual fireside chat with me. Just for some context, my name is Brian Griffin, as Jesse said. I'm VP of Brand Solutions at VideoAmp. We're a leading measurement and optimization technology platform. So Bruno, first off, happy Friday. Want to dive into today's session. First and foremost, with just a casual icebreaker. You and I caught up earlier in the week. Would love to understand, knowing that we've been in this weird state as a country and as a world the last 2 years, and that has obviously caused a proliferation of at-home consumption. What are you watching these days as far as streaming is concerned and linear TV is concerned? Would love to start there and just ask a kind of personal question first.
Yes, absolutely. So hi, Brian. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's safe, staying healthy, and had a great holiday break. I think it's still time to wish everybody a happy new year, right? So until it gets too old, even though this first 2 weeks felt like a month or 2 months, but it's great to be here. So yeah, look, I mean, it's I've been watching a lot of stuff. I always do. I'm a big sports person, so I continue to watch live sports all over. So here I'm a big NFL, NBA fan. I'm Brazilian, so I kind of like don't have a choice. I have to love soccer. Yeah. and I do love soccer. I do follow the Brazilian Cup and then some other cups as well. On series, look, man, I've been watching a lot of stuff. I'm anxious to see Ozark come back. I've watched Succession, big show as well. Really enjoyed. Atlanta on FX is also a good show that I've been following and watching. So there's a lot of great content out there. So I'm excited to continue to see what's coming up in 2022 and continue to enjoy it. What about you, man? What have you been watching?
It's funny that you mentioned Ozark. I watched the trailer for the upcoming season last night with my wife. I'm so I'm so excited for that show.
Yeah, exactly.
Such a great show. Jason Bateman is amazing in it. So I would say Ozark for sure. And I was a little sad last week because your Dolphins down in Miami beat my Patriots. So, but
yeah, we have to get that one going
this weekend. Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into the more important things. Really more so about your business and everything that's going on around the QSR vertical. I think the best place to start is what I call kind of the arms race for the best chicken sandwich. And I think in 2020. Popeyes obviously had a ton of buzz and a launch of a chicken sandwich that caused, almost mass hysteria, right? There were people around the block. Popeyes locations were selling out of it left and right. Talk to us a little bit about how that marketing strategy came together. And I specifically want to understand is how did it adapt on the fly, knowing that you probably almost didn't even know how much of a craze it was going to result in, right? So how did you and the marketing team adapt once you saw the amazing results of it, and how is it influencing your future marketing strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's been the chicken sandwich launch. It was an amazing time, to be in the industry. In my case, to be leading the charge of the brand that was starting the whole conversation. So I was happy, of course, and fortunate to be leading the team at that time. I think the marketing strategy, even before it got to that point, right? So in QSR, it's quite common for those who follow the industry closely or closer than others. It's quite common for brands to launch new products in test markets, right? So you basically introduce the product in a specific market. You start to see how the product performs in the restaurants, how the team members are adapting to that new product. You start to see how consumers are receiving the product, liking the product, not liking the product, price points, and everything else. So all of that to say that before we went national with the chicken sandwich, we had the chicken sandwich live in a few markets, Houston being the main one, right? So when I joined the brand, the market test in Houston was already going, and I had the task to basically go and launch it nationally, right? So I've first thing, it went back to brand positioning, brand tone of voice, brand personality, really setting up the foundation of the brand so that whatever we did at that time was relevant and pertinent to the brand. And then I just went on honestly, I just went on Twitter and searched Popeye sandwich, and I saw a lot of people talking about it in Houston, in those markets that had the sandwich. There's a lot of hype around the sandwich. So with that information in mind, the team and I, we put a new brief together for the agencies, and the brief was one line, basically saying believe the hype. So go on Twitter, search for chicken sandwich Popeyes, read by yourself, yourself, see all the comments and see that the hype is actually there. What we want to do is get everybody to believe the hype and to join the hype. So I knew from that moment, I knew social media was going to be very, very important. I knew PR was going to be very important. So we set up the team to really pay, triple the attention on social media and in PR to basically, participate in the conversation, drive the conversation, insert ourselves in the conversation. So when the moment arose at that day, which I will never forget, so it was August 19th of 2019, one of our competitors tweeted something that we retweeted, and that basically caught the whole thing on fire. So it was basically, understanding and doing the homework of, all the foundational elements of the brand, but also understanding how consumers were reacting and talking about the product in those market tests in the pre-launch phase. And then as we evolved, we had a whole plan to basically, build awareness of the sandwich. So a lot of people awareness and then trial, of course. And then the moment that we saw those awareness levels basically stagnated at a level, we then moved on from our communication strategy to go from believing the hype to really telling people why our sandwich was actually superior, right? So explaining why the sandwich was superior, why the sandwich quality was so good. So then we went into really talking about the functional attributes of the product, why is that so good, etc. And then and basically had the whole journey of like, continuing to build the brand according to how the market was responding to the initiatives, and how people were actually being aware of the product or not being aware or trying the product. So those things, those metrics were helping us guide and shape and adjust our marketing strategy to activate, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 of the plan that continues live. So it's still a big opportunity for us to continue to drive chicken sandwich. There's a lot of chicken sandwiches being eaten out there, and I'm sure Popeyes can be a great choice for those occasions.
I love it. It's such an amazing story. Talk to me a little bit about how your experience with that launch and the response by the test markets and eventually the national market. How has that adapted strategy around future products, right? And one thing that piqued my interest in kind of how you took us through that story was around leveraging the real-time feedback via things like Twitter, right? And how you really can understand and validate the success of something or the failure of something to then influence your next best action as a team and as a brand marketing unit.
Yeah, look, I think the main thing that sandwich, I think actually a lot of things, not only one thing, but one of the things that I can point out to your point is, if you look at our TV commercials, right? So for Popeyes, after, like if you look pre-chicken sandwich, there's Popeyes TV commercials pre-chicken sandwich and after chicken sandwich, right? So I think the main change there is that we knew about the power of UGC, right? So of people's organic reviews of our products. Yeah. But chicken sandwiches just took that to the universe level, right? So it just exploded that thing that existed to a completely different level that we didn't anticipate at the beginning. So, but with that, it created an opportunity that, we had basically millions of people talking about the products and reacting to our products on their own words, with their own timing, their own way of showing. which we basically embraced that. We said, you know what, that's the way that we're going to communicate moving forward, right? So it's going to be instead of a UGC, a UGP, user generated Popeyes, so if you look at the commercials, it's basically you always have someone, a real person reacting to a product in their own way, in their own words. And we use that to amplify and to basically tell everybody out there how the product is, right? So that was a big change in our communication strategy, in our content strategy, that was brought up by Gut, our creative agency, as a solution, basically saying, instead of being a brand that does a social, let's do a social brand that does TV. So kind of like inverted the order of things and putting social media at the forefront of every single thing that we do. The other piece that also influenced a lot is something that Rick and Juan, who are the ECDs at Gut, we talked about. Actually, that this is a term that came up from Juan. He was saying we should actually institute the term live advertising, which is basically doing advertising live. So it's kind of like, it's not only about responding on Twitter, but it's responding with an idea. So that also have been playing a big role in the way we look at marketing and the way we promote the brand, because we know the channel is really important for Popeyes, right? So for our brand specifically, it makes a ton of sense. I don't think this is a solution for every single brand. For us, it is a big way to promote the brand. It's a big way to make the brand relevant and to keep the brand top of mind. So yeah. So I think those two things I'll probably list as the main things that have, influenced, the chicken sandwich have influenced in our marketing strategies.
It's a good segue to my next question, because I know you've been a huge user of TikTok in your marketing strategy. That said, this past holiday, we saw not only Popeyes, but we saw another QSR brand leverage a celebrity in a lot of their promotional efforts. How are you thinking about associations like that with Megan Thee Stallion, for example, and like balancing that with things like influencer marketing?
Look, I think they are. I think they're complementary, right? So I think even if you look at our social media, the very first point I was talking about, social media and PR playing an important role. All those influencers, they play a big role into complementing social media, right? Because they continue to spread the news, right? So if you look at even the chicken sandwich launch, right? So it was actually it was catching fire on social media, but then you had some big names that played a big role organically, right? So we didn't actually in that instance, we didn't influence them or we didn't work with them actively, but you had Dwayne Wade. You had Megan Thee Stallion herself actually was one of the first ones to tweet and to talk about the chicken sandwich back in 2019. So we saw that as an important element of our plan, and we continue to leveraging every single launch that we have in the brand. And then the more strategic kind of like bigger partnerships, I think they come as a very useful tool for us in QSR. To promote the products. As you saw this past year in 2021, a lot of brands jumped into this trend, right? So and for us at Popeyes, it was a nice way for us to launch a new product, right? So it was the first official variant of our chicken sandwich, right? So the chicken sandwich with the hottie sauce from Megan Thee Stallion, and the sauce in itself that people could enjoy with our nuggets or our chicken as a whole. But something that was really punctual for us. We saw a big opportunity in partnering with someone that has a true love for the brand and a true affinity with the brand, right? So as I said, she was one of the first ones to talk about the chicken sandwich back in 2019. So she has always been voicing her love for the brand. So we thought it was a nice way to partner with her. And we tried to do this in a true kind of like original, authentic collaboration type of way, right? So we basically work with her in developing the sauce, the packaging, the design, the clothing line that we developed, the commercials, the directors, the animation, and she even got to be a franchisee. So we even signed her as a franchisee of the brand. So it was exciting.
Talk about authenticity, right? Like she's literally putting her own money back into the company. right?
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing that we really love about talking to her, and she also was all in for this approach, is that as you, I don't want to get to very technical terms here or very specifics about QSR and franchising business, but you can enter as a minority owner of any franchise existing business, right? So you can go there and basically get 5%, 10%, etc. Right. From the moment we said we don't want that, we want you to be the owner, right? So the franchising agreement that we've done with her, it's with her. Like, she's 100% owner. She will be 100% owner of 5 restaurants in the future that she will be building from scratch, and she's going to own it 100%. So that's a great thing.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I love the story of her kind of already being a fan,
Yeah.
And whether or not she became a celebrity, she probably, would have always been loyal to
exactly.
No matter what. So let's switch gears a little bit. Given that it's about 1 year old, how is your evolving loyalty program going, would you say? And what does the future look like for it?
Yeah, look, it's been more successful than what we had planned for it to be in 2021. To be completely fair here, which is a great news. We had forecasted to be at an X number of users by the end of the year. We surpassed that number of enrolled users in the program, which is great. The program is currently only available through the app, so you can only earn and burn points through the app. So the future for the program, it's basically twofold, right? So the first one is rolling out the program to in-store, right? So allowing people to participate in the program for those going physically to the stores, which will open up a big portion of our business that today is not eligible to join the program unless they do purchase via the app. And the second piece is evolving the program from being just a loyalty program, transactional program, to be something more strategic in driving brand engagement and driving brand loyalty as a concept of loyalty per se to the future, right? So it's a program that we can do to, in collaborations with Megan Thee Stallion, for instance, we could do a partnership with or a promotion exclusive to loyalty members to go to a private concert with her, or to gain X amount of different experiences, right? So there's a lot of ways that we can do, but I think the main 2 goals here that we have moving forward, one is roll out the program to in-store, so everybody can participate in the program, and second, evolving the program from being evolve the program to be more of a brand engagement and brand love type of initiative, as well as the loyalty per se.
Got it. So it's equal parts loyalty, equal parts, actual in-market experience for the customer.
Exactly.
Right? Not just on the phone, but how does it connect them to actual experiences that either folks like Megan Thee Stallion are associated to, or things in market that they can interact with.
Exactly.
I love it. It's a good balance of, appreciation of Popeyes and loyal to the brand, but also like association of their experience elsewhere back to the brand.
Exactly.
I love it. So, as someone that personally represents a technology company, and, VideoAmp's focuses around cross-screen measurement and optimization. And, some of that was discussed by Doug and Jeremy on the last session. Talk to us a little bit about how Popeyes is thinking about attribution and the prioritizations that it's making around connecting its marketing channels back to, key performance indicators.
Yeah, look, I think it is. We've been talking about this for a little while. I don't think we have honestly all the solutions on the table right now, but at the same time, I don't think anyone has. Which is exciting, right? So which is exciting because I think as an industry, we're going to be evolving and continuing to work together, and it turns this thing into an exciting thing, right? So I think for us in QSR, I think the main challenge that we always had as an industry, and I speak on behalf of, I guess, of the whole industry, is how do we measure, real traffic into the restaurants? How do we measure that person was impacted by those channels and that person went to the restaurant physically, right? So we've been working closely with Horizon on creating and mapping, and several other partners as well, on creating and mapping all the different touch points that we can and we should read and take into account of our personal kind of like the Popeyes specific guest journey, right? So what are the key ones that we need to track, key ones that we need to measure, and how we measure, how we evolve, how we optimize, and everything else. So it's something that is evolving. We don't have all the final answers or the final solutions. We've been doing a lot of tests on different platforms, on different KPIs, different touch points. I think there's still a long way to go, to be completely honest here. But it's something that we've been, spending a lot of time because it is evolving quite a lot as we think about, media consumption. And we talked about this before, earlier this week, right? Between, how brand engagement and e-commerce are kind of like merging. So it's something that it is important and will become even more important.
And in your role, how do you balance the other end of it, which is creative development, right? Aligning creative relevancy to kind of performance as a more technical area of the business.
Exactly, yeah, a big time, because I think we have, as a brand, and I think as an industry, we have to evolve how we look at creative for those for performance media, or the old way of the old way of saying performance media, because I think today most of the performance media assets, they end up being very transactional, and I think there's an opportunity here to do both, right? So to be more engaging and transaction at the same time, right? So I think that's where we all need to evolve as an industry. Me personally here, we have to evolve here as well, but I think as a whole industry, when I look at myself as a user out there, I see, I can clearly see, okay, so this was done, by, oh, I think I froze for a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, okay. I saw myself frozen on the screen, so I didn't know if it was me or the thing crashed, but I'm glad I'm back. So yeah, so I was saying, as a user, I can go online and I can see, the assets and the creative assets that are, performance media, very transactional, very, clinical, to the ones which are designed to be brand engagement. So I think those two things, they have to evolve and they have to merge for sure.
Yeah. I love it. So quick question around kind of channel specific. Would you say that linear TV advertising still sits at the center of your mass reach strategy? And how has the proliferation of streaming started to influence that?
Yes, look, I think linear TV is still the largest part of our mass reach channels. Mm-hmm. But then it's all other channels are growing in representation of our mix. They have been growing since 2019, 2020, 2021, and will continue to grow in 2022. I think it's basically about us, testing, understanding, validating those channels, because it's all very new for the industry. So, and we continue to do that. We continue to work with all the partners out there to do that, and to understand and continue to evolve and to sharpen and to really take our media efforts into the best optimal way that we can. But yeah, that's where we see it right now.
Got it. I'm going to actually pop over to the chat for a good question just came in that kind of lines up to my question about marketing channels. How are you thinking about the best way to activate dollars against purpose-driven initiatives? So like sustainability, diversity, and inclusion. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm not sure. I mean, in terms of, you mean just allocating budgets for like sustainability? I mean, the sustainability story, like, I don't know, the sustainability story for our case here, it's a quality story, right? So it's for Popeyes, it's almost like those two things, they have to work hand in hand. It's if they at least in my mind, if you start to make two different stories, then you start diluting all your dollars, right? So I think the sustainability story, and I'm using sustainability just as an example, right? But you can put whatever there. It needs to be part of your core messaging, right? So in our case, sustainability is I don't know, our products are being free from artificial colors, preservatives, and all of that thing. The benefit of that is the best, better tasting product.
Best product, right?
Exactly. So I think we need to embed those two things, or whatever are the things that you have. They have to come together, because otherwise, and depending, of course, on your size, Popeyes is not a massive brand in dollars versus other huge players out there in QSR. I don't have the luxury to have 35 campaigns in a year, different campaign. I have to optimize, and I have to build those stories and integrate those stories with the one thing that I want to talk about and I want to communicate to our guests. So that's how we've been thinking about it. And actually in 2021, we launched a new campaign, which is all about, the quality of our chicken and the work and the culinary expertise that we have, but then highlighting all the sustainability elements as reasons to believe to that story. So that's how we basically embedded that into our story.
Got it. It's the connection between, quality ingredients and doing such in a sustainable way that connects actually to an output of quality taste and a happy
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I think it's I think the main point here, and I was using sustainability as an example. We can use whatever other example, but I think the main point is that you don't start, segregating or dividing your campaign or your budget into several campaigns, because I think, at least in my point of view, you start diluting a lot of your money. So it's
right. So bit of a pivot, but on the last session, we heard Doug and Jeremy talk a little bit about this movement that's very much top of mind in the industry. It's the movement away from the GRP, or potentially the appearance of secondary currencies to Nielsen. Have you started to think about that in partnership with your agency Horizon, and kind of where things need to go in the future to potentially be able to extract an understanding of true cross-screen reach and effectiveness to your business goals with a more accurate currency?
Big time, man. Big time. This is something that we spend a lot of time in the planning phase of 2022 with Horizon. We still don't have a solution, a final kind of like point of view on our side. We're in the middle. I don't know if the question was actually probably someone from Horizon because it's really live to my life right now.
Yeah.
But it's something that it's important though, because if you look at the QSR business, right? So we measure the intensity and the weight of every single week that we have on media. Historically, we measured that through GRPs, right? Because the campaign, like the plans were 95% TV. So we would say, on week 1, we have, 10 GRPs. On week 2, I have 8 GRPs. On week 3, I have 7 GRPs. And it has become a reference of understanding for my team and the industry of how strong your plan is in those specific weeks. The moment we started to move into the digital space, we start to lose that frame of reference, right? So then I think the challenge that it creates is like, okay, I have 10 GRPs on this week, but is actually 10 GRPs a good week or not? Because I have the same amount of money relative to 10 GRPs into digital. So actually, in very late terms, it should be 20 GRPs. So it should be a very strong week, but I'm only seeing 10 GRPs, you know what I mean? Right. So that's the conversation that we're having. So we can see a holistic number that will inform us to say, okay, yeah, it's a good week for us. Or actually, I have to have on this week here, I have to have much more money into this week because it's an important week for me because of X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I think the unified solution, it's something that we need to get to, because for me as a marketer, it helps understand. And I think we need to do a lot of education as well for the teams on how to evaluate and how to see those metrics so that we can have proper allocation of resources and channels and calendar to better support the business.
Yeah, and I think it has a significant impact on how you budget your year out from a marketing perspective.
Exactly.
Right? Can I achieve more and have more transparency into audience delivery? so I can do, 100% of what I've always done with 80% of the budget, right?
Exactly.
Right. And so it's a huge opportunity. It's great that you guys are thinking about that in such a forward thinking way. Talk to me a little bit about what you feel the future holds. You talked about kind of the convergence of brand engagement and commerce, but what innovations are you most excited about, and how do you think it will kind of change the future of marketing?
Look, I think to me, like the main thing that I've been thinking about is really this what you asked before and what we talked about. The merging of brand engagement and e-commerce. I think this is something that I'm not sure if it's an innovation per se, in terms of a platform or anything like that. I think it will be an innovation on how we find solutions for that as context or circumstance. I think it is going to be a big challenge, a big opportunity for the whole industry as we move into 2022 and beyond. I think it's going to be a big area of focus for me, for the team here, and I think for the whole industry, because more and more we're seeing budgets being allocated into this space, and of course more attention is getting to that space, which will require, of course, more rigor, more discipline, more metrics, more KPIs, and more discipline as a whole on how we do this. So I think that's going to be a big push for us here. The other piece, which I think will play a big role as well, is dynamic content all around. Not only in this in media space, but also in our case for menu boards, for instance, right? So when you get to the drive-through, the menu board should be 100% dynamic, right? So it should be to you, to the time, it should be 100% dynamic. Hopefully, to the point that if we can read you and say, hey, Brian, do you want another chicken sandwich, and nuggets, or what I mean? Okay, I'll say later. So we can make it super personalized to you. So I think those two things probably are the things that we are going to be looking for, or I'll be looking for the industry in 2022 as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that the coalescing of in-store personalization, digital personalization via owned media channels, and then how does that eventually get to a place where there's a high level of paid media personalization, right?
Exactly.
And I've been amazed in what I've been seeing from like a contactless kind of, you don't even really interact with anyone in the location way of transacting, right? And maybe you order on the app and then you pick up, and it's just the only interaction is them handing you the food, or it's all done on the kiosk in store. I mean, it's tremendous the amount of technology enhancements that has happened there. And so how does that influence your marketing strategy too, from an imagery and dynamic content perspective? It's
exactly. And also from a restaurant format perspective, right? So restaurants, they used to have a configuration X, Y, and Z. They will have a different configuration, right? So because of that, a flow of guests into restaurants, right? And delivery drivers as well, right? So it's a whole new world.
Yeah. We've got about 5 minutes to go. There is a question, and I do feel it kind of sits within the same vein, because we're talking about in-store a little bit. How are you defining and reporting success amongst, your internal footprints of locations and franchisee operators? Like, how does that balance look? Or is it mostly, reporting and working with the franchisee operators versus the corporate locations?
Look, we have at Popeyes in the US, we have, I'll call it 2,600 locations in the country, close to 27. Out of those, we have very few corporate-owned locations. So it's not we have very few. So it's not our main portion of the business, and we don't treat them differently. To be honest, I think it's as we look at the results, we look at the business as a whole. Like there's no focus or priority for company-owned restaurants or franchisees. We're basically looking at the business as a whole for customers and driving everything. So there's no way, in no way, shape, or form we treat those two differently from a marketing perspective, from a reporting perspective, and everything else. So it's all the same for us. Got
it. Okay, awesome. I think that we're basically at the top of the session. Bruno, I want to first and foremost just thank you for the time. This has been really fun to dig into your business and talk about how do we solve all these issues in the future? I think we're closer than we probably all think we are. We just need to remain optimistic, right? And glass half full versus glass half empty.